Chapter 26. Grayson was right. We found the printing room. There was a printer set up in a corner with pages of uncut $100 bills stacked high. The smell of ink and chemicals filled the room.
"Grab our shirts,"
he said as he propped a vacuum cleaner in the doorway to keep the door open. I scooted past him into the storage room to collect our clothes. I slipped into my shirt as I roamed around the printing room. The room was big enough for the printer, supplies, and a few stacks of money. An empty shelf secured high on the wall caught my attention. It seemed like a high place to install a shelf and then not store anything on it. Grayson, does this shelf stand out to you?
"It's odd it's so high with nothing on it. It looks like a shelf from the cash room."
Grayson and I gawked at each other with the same realization. We hurried over to the shelf. A step stool was placed under it. Grayson stepped on it and inspected the shelf. "This is about the same height as the $100 shelf in the cash room, isn't it?" I asked.
"It has to be. I can't see anything different."
"Can you see any buttons or triggers? Maybe jiggle the shelf and see if it moves." Grayson pressed, jiggled, and pushed at the shelf. It didn't budge. "Maybe the trigger is located somewhere else," I said. Grayson hopped off the stool, and we searched the room. Grayson wandered to the desk and inspected it and its contents. I searched along the walls. My hand ran across the light switches. There were 2 switches and a button that had a safety release so you couldn't accidentally press it. This made me curious. I released the safety mechanism and pressed the button. The shelf turned. The cash room money was now on the inside of the printing room. I pushed the button again. It rotated the shelf so the money was back in the cash room. "Now we know how the money was moved," I said. "The workers wouldn't have noticed it because it was above their heads. What about the cameras?"
From what I remember of the footage, the cameras were all pointing down toward the busy areas of the room. It might have been too hard of an angle to capture the top shelf. I can't believe this room was built under my nose. This must be why Jeff was hired.
Grayson growled.
"My casino is printing counterfeit money."
I left Grayson to his thoughts and studied the printer. I had never seen a printer set up for money, so I wanted to check it out before the police took it for evidence.
"Nadia, come here quickly."
"Did you find something?" His eyes were focused at the doorway. I followed his eyes to Jason. He was standing in the doorway with a gun pointed at Grayson.
You couldn't leave it alone, could you? My one place to have a little spotlight of my own and not hover in your shadow.
"I should have known it was you. You have nearly the same amount of security clearance as I do. You have access to my calendar, my office, and my penthouse."
Jason smirked.
You would have never suspected me because I was your right-hand man. You say jump, and I jump until I can't breathe.
"Put the gun down and let's talk."
Talk about what? Maybe you want to talk about how much I slaved for you as you waltzed around in your Armani suits. While you got all the girls with your money, I worked around the clock.
Jason twitched. He was trying to keep a tight grip on his emotions. They were gnawing at him and wearing him down.
It looks like you found your last girl. I know how much you like each other, so I'll be the gentleman and let you choose who I shoot first. Then I'll seal the door and let you both rot here together.
"We can make a deal."
Grayson said, pulling me to stand behind him.
"We'll take down this printing room. I'll wire money into an offshore account. You can make a clean break, move somewhere new and start over."
It's not that easy. I'm not alone.
The vein in his neck pulsated as he twitched again.
"We already know about Lupier and Dagor."
Grayson said.
Dagor is the middleman. I don't care about him. This is far beyond anything I can stop.
"Who does Dagor work for?" I asked. Jason shook his head. He bit back the fear reflected in his eyes.
Dagor tipped him off that you both knew about the money. He nearly ate me for breakfast.
Jason's eyes glazed over as he shuddered.
I'm getting out of here, but not before I kill you both. Those were my directions. If I don't follow them, I'm a dead man.
I had to keep Jason talking and not shooting. "What about Lupier?" I asked. "Is he going with you?" Jason arched his brow.
Why would he go with me? He doesn't have anything to do with this.
"You're not working together? How did you know how to create these illusions? Jason smiled. Yvette is your partner, I concluded. She was the only logical person who could have been as valuable as Lupier.
I wouldn't cut her in on this deal. But I did, pump her for information. Jeff was my partner until he drank something he shouldn't have.
He was alive long enough to be useful but died after services were performed at the tournament, I said.
Yeah,
Jason said.
something like that. He was a carpenter and skilled at rigging up false walls and the table bottom, but he was greedy and wanted to steal the counterfeit money. He said we could swap it out later. I knew the cameras would catch us. With all the security and cameras in this place, and Grayson's constant overshadowing, I had to tread carefully. Jeff was all about instant gratification.
Jason's finger pulsed at the trigger. A bead of sweat rolled down his forehead. What about Katerina? She was hanging around Lupier. I know she needs money, I said.
Yes, she desperately needs money. She's working all the angles to cash in on Lupier's success. I heard her mention making an illusion video and something about pie that could be sold on the internet. She has nothing to do with me. But she did sabotage you the 2 times you were on stage. I must give her credit for that.
Katerina was the one who bumped into me and disabled the switch in the coffin? My hand flexed in anger. The thought of Lupier and Katerina. And pie. I shuddered. I didn't think long about the union of my 2 least favorite people. Jason held out his gun and steadied his hand to take aim.
I've told you too much,
He said.
I didn't want to kill you, but I really don't have a choice.
His finger pressed the trigger. I swallowed, not knowing what to do. Grayson pushed me farther behind him. I squirmed to free myself from his protection. A gunshot blasted the air. Grayson slammed against me. We smashed against the wall and fell to the floor. His full weight was on top of me. Warm liquid ran down on me, soaking my shirt. Grayson! I scrambled to escape from under him. His weight kept me down.
I'm okay.
He said. His voice was edged with pain. An arm reached down and helped Grayson up. I fixed my eyes on Remy. Jason was on the floor, knocked out. Grayson held his arm while blood trickled down. I thought we were goners. When did you get here? I asked Remy.
In time to knock out Jason before he shot Grayson in the chest. A shot to the arm isn't as bad.
I'd rather have the wall shot instead.
Grayson said through gritted teeth. I winced at the blood flowing from Grayson's arm. I'll drive you to the emergency room. I hurried to the storage room and grabbed a towel. I wrapped it around his arm to help stop the bleeding.
How did you know where to find us?
Grayson asked.
Security was all up in your business. They were collecting bets to see if you 2 were going to do the nasty in the storage room. I arrived as the camera picked up Jason entering the room. When he didn't leave, I knew something was wrong and hauled ass down here.
They would bet on something like that? I asked.
This is a casino. We bet on everything.
We need to hurry, I said. The towel is already saturated.
I can take him.
Remy said.
No, Nadia can take me.
Grayson replied.
I want you to stay here and guard this room. Call the police and tell them the situation. I'll be back as soon as I can. Don't let anyone in except the police. Right now, I don't trust anyone except you. There are people in this building who knew about this printing room. Until we determine who they are, I'm giving you all the responsibility. Tie Jason up so he can't run away.
Remy nodded. I ushered Grayson out the door. He would have talked business until he ran out of blood. Grayson gave me the keys to his Ferrari as we hurried outside. You're going to smear blood all over your car, I said.
The seats are leather. It should be fine. And if not, I don't care right now.
All right, let's go. I'm going to see what this car is made of.
As long as you drive to the hospital before I bleed to death, you can do whatever you want.
I grinned. They admitted Grayson right away. I was allowed to stay with him even though I protested. Blood and I have an unspoken agreement. It stays inside the body and I don't throw up. Once it escapes, the agreement is broken. I had been heroic back in the printing room because I was hopped up on adrenaline. Being in the hospital made the blood seem more treacherous. I let them fix up Grayson as I stood in the corner humming. I figured show tunes were the way to go. I tried to think of something upbeat, but it ended up a compilation of several melancholy songs that was grating to even my ears. If Frankie was here, he could have belted out a song that would have made me feel better.
Nadia, you can stop humming. It's over.
I turned to inspect Grayson. He had a gauze bandage over his wound. I could deal with a bandage. Does it hurt?
It's tender, but they gave me something for pain.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's head back home.
To your house?
Yes, that's what I meant.
I just wanted to make sure. You said before you didn't think of the house as your home.
That was before. It's grown on me.
Grayson took my hand as we strolled to the car.
Nadia, a part of me didn't want to find the counterfeit money. I knew I would have to work an insane amount of hours to prevent the casino from falling apart when the story hit the news. I'm sure it will have complete media coverage by morning. Any bits of a normal life I had are going to go with it. I'll have to make calls to release statements as soon as we get back.
I nodded. You don't have to explain this to me. I already know. I did like spending time with you. Not the life-threatening parts, nor the parts when Maya dressed me up, but the other times.
I'm not going to lead you on, Nadia. If I did, I would have David, Maya, Remy, and you all kicking my ass. I'm going to tell you right now you probably won't hear from me for a while. I tend to focus on work and forget the people around me. I'd hate myself if I hurt you. So, with that being said, can we make a date for 6 months from now?
He was being honest. Something made me relax with his request. He wasn't trying to ditch me. He had to work now and play later. But 6 months? I think that can be arranged, I said, though part of me hated having to say it. I didn't want to be separated from him for so long after having met him such a short time ago.
You'll come to the casino and play, right? You won't be afraid about giving me space, will you?
I might swing by. What if I want to play at a different casino?
Is this a trick question? Is there a hidden message?
Not really. I'm just trying to understand what you expect from me and if it's something I can live with.
It absolutely kills me to say this. I have no right to expect anything from you, nor do I have any claim over you. We are completely free from each other for 6 months. But in exactly 6 months, I want you at my house and ready.
Ready for what?
You know damn well for what.
He said roughly, bringing me into his arms. What if I fall in love with someone in that time?
Then I will have lost you.
I nodded. This was the hand dealt to me. A 6-month break from a man I barely knew, but from a man who could steal my breath away with one look. This wasn't too horrible. I needed to work so I could fix my car anyway. I could live with this. Who knows what 6 months could bring? A slow smile spread on Grayson's face.
Nadia, that all begins tomorrow. I still have you for tonight. You aren't allowed to sleep, remember? Doctor's orders.
But what about the police? You told Remy you would go back to the casino. He smiled.
I never told him what time. And you, sweetheart, are mine tonight.